This is the new 2021 Mazda 3 Turbo. It has 250 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque, and all-wheel drive. And it's a big deal because it's the first powerful Mazda 3 since the Mazda Speed 3 went away after the 2013 model year. And today, I'm going to review it. Before I get started, be sure to check out Cars and Bids, which is my new online enthusiast car auction website for modern enthusiast cars. If you're looking to buy a cool car from the modern era, 1980s and up, Cars and Bids is the place. We have live auctions running all the time with some amazing variety of cool cars. And if you're looking to sell a cool car from the modern era, check out Cars and Bids. You will get the most money and the most views and interest and bids on your cool car. Check it out at carsandbids.com. So let's talk Mazda 3. It first came out back in 2004, and a high-performance Mazda Speed 3 version debuted in 2007 with 263 horsepower. The Mazda Speed 3 carried on to the second generation Mazda 3, but when the third generation model came out for 2014, it was gone, and there was no more high-performance Mazda 3. Well, now there is again. The base model Mazda 3 has 155 horsepower, or you can step up to a more powerful version with 184 horsepower, or you can get this. New for 2021, the Mazda 3 Turbo with 250 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque, and all-wheel drive. Now, the Turbo Mazda 3 is only offered with an automatic transmission, but you can get it in sedan or hatchback body styles. And today, I'm going to review it. First, I'll show you a few of its interesting quirks and features, then I'll get it out on the road and drive it, and then I'll give it a DOUGSCORE. All right, time to go over the quirks and features of the new Mazda 3 Turbo. Now, I've already reviewed the regular Mazda 3, but it was a non-turbo version and a sedan. So with this one, I'm not gonna go over all the quirks, just the highlights, but I'm gonna start with the hatchback and the fact that I love where they've integrated the tailgate popper. It's right here below the Mazda logo in this little hole for your hand. You put it in there, press the little popper, and it pops up. What a creative place to stick that so you don't have some exposed hole for the trunk popper in back. It's just integrated into the logo design. Cool idea. Another look I like back here is the turn signal. The turn signal back of these tiny little 4 dots that turn on LEDs very bright. So even though they're small, they're very visible, but it's a cool little small turn signal, not some aggressive over-the-top thing. And it fits in with Mazda's thin lighting design, and I think that looks cool. With that said, I like those little design details, but I don't really like the overall design of this car. I think it's kind of a strange look. The front end looks too long and the rear end looks too short and the back is too sloping, and I have loved other Mazda 3 hatchback models before, but I think this one just looks a little strange. It kind of reminds me of the Mazda Lantis, which was a hatchback they sold in other markets in the 90s. That also looked strange, but it was a little better at that time. This just seems to look odd. I don't really like it. This is one of the very few cars where I actually prefer the look of the sedan to the look of the hatchback. Usually I prefer hatches and wagons, but not this one. However, with that said, you open up the tailgate and you discover the cargo area, of course, and it's pretty big back here. So even though this car has a little bit of a strange look, you can't argue with the practicality of this cargo area over a sedan. And of course, you can put the seats down and get even more cargo space back here. So that practicality is nice, and it could be reason to choose the hatchback version, even if you don't love how it looks, like I don't. But of course, the hatchback is only part of the story with this car. The really big news here is the Turbo, and the combination of turbo plus all-wheel drive plus the hatchback. When you combine all those things, you get the performance of the turbo, the grippiness of all-wheel drive, the practicality of the hatchback. It's every car enthusiast's dream, except that it doesn't come with a manual transmission. That's right, the hatchback all-wheel drive high-performance Mazda 3 is only offered with an automatic, which seems kind of curious because the earlier Mazda Speed 3 models were only offered with a manual, and now they've switched to only automatic. The reason for this is, I suspect Mazda has decided that it is going to go classy. They've ditched the Mazda Speed name. It's gone completely, even though so many enthusiasts knew it so well. They think it's too boy racer and not in keeping with their latest direction for the brand. And they've ditched the manual transmission in this car, automatic only. Again, the intent to class it up and leave behind some of those racy enthusiasts who they just don't feel fit their brand image anymore. And that increased classiness is seen all throughout this car, particularly on the inside. The materials in here are truly wonderful for a compact hatchback. It just looks great. There's beautiful soft leather everywhere, nice stitching. This is certainly the nicest interior in any compact hatchback on the market right now. It just looks fantastic. Mazda has even gone so far as to change their font. This is how Mazda fonts used to look in the past. Well, now it's this. You can see a classier, more upmarket look. Mazda is really trying to take the brand in a new, more expensive, more upmarket direction. I think Mazda doesn't have the resources to create a luxury brand like Lexus or Acura, so they're going to try to straddle the middle between like mainstream brands and luxury brands, and this car and its automatic transmission are a result of that. With that said, even though this car is getting more mature, more grown up, it's not like Mazda has completely turned its back on car enthusiasts, because this is still a pretty impressive powertrain. Turbo 4-cylinder, like I've mentioned, 250 horses, 320 pound-feet of torque, does 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. They say 5.8, 5.9. So even though you can't roll your own gears in this car, it still seems like it will be a joy to drive, at least on paper. A car this size, with Mazda's handling, with that level of performance, it's pretty nice. But they certainly have put away the rowdy flavor of those old Mazda Speed 3 cars with manual transmissions and front-wheel drive and torque steer that were fun to tune and throw around. This car is definitely more grown up. But anyway, back to the interior for a few quirks and features. One is to the left of the steering wheel, where you have the controls for the seat memory, and you can see the button to set it, +1 memory, +2 memory, plus a dummy switch. It's the same size as the other memory buttons. They could have given you a third memory, but they chose not to, and that switch is sitting there taunting you as if to say, we could have given you more, but we didn't. Next up, another interesting quirk in here. Like I said, this interior, beautiful, fantastic materials for this segment. One odd thing though, in the dashboard below the climate controls, you have a USB port. Exposed, off-center, just sort of sticking out there. I see a lot of cars with a lot of USB ports. They are almost always hidden, especially on a vehicle like this where they're trying to emphasize classiness and increasing luxury. It's just strange to have that port right there facing you. But they've made that up with a nice luxury touch. That would be the glove box. You pull on the latch to open it, and then it opens very softly like a luxury vehicle would. It doesn't just slam down. However, right above the glove box, another oddity, and that would be the fake climate vent. You have one on the left, one on the right, and then this center one is fake. It has the look of a climate vent, but it isn't actually a climate vent. It's strange. A lot of brands are doing this to give the dashboard a greater look of continuity, but I find it odd, including in this car. Next up, another important item to mention also on the dashboard is the infotainment system. You have the screen mounted pretty high up on the dashboard. That's because it's not a touch screen. Mazda is one of the few brands who has an only controller infotainment controls, so you move around this little circle and that's how you control the screen. Now, Mazda and I are at odds about this. Mazda says this is the safer way to do it, better than a touchscreen. It's less distracting and it can be mounted higher so your eyes don't have to come so far off the road. My problem is it's more difficult to use than a touchscreen. So even if your eyes aren't coming as far off the road, they're coming off the road for longer, which negates the benefit of it since you're moving everything around with this wheel and these buttons. It's not my ideal setup, but Mazda says they think it's better, they prefer the safety, and so they've gone with it. And by the way, in the vicinity of the touchscreen buttons and dial, you have the center console lid. Obviously, you open it up and there's your center console storage area. The interesting part is it can slide forward or backward depending on where you want it to be your armrest. You can slide it into whatever position is most comfortable. It's not all that unusual in higher end cars, but it's rare to see in a compact hatchback like this, another nice luxury touch. And finally, we move on to the back of the Mazda 3 hatchback, and as you can see, it's a little tight back here. I have adjusted the front passenger seat to where I would be sitting as a rather tall adult, and then I can't really get into the back seat. Now, obviously, Mazda offers several larger vehicles that you can get if you really need rear seat room, but just a little note of caution, if you're looking for a lot of space in back, you won't really get it here. This is better used for kids or adults on short trips, but you might all be kind of cramped in this car. Not that that's exactly surprising for a compact car. It doesn't have less room than other compact cars, but just worth mentioning. All right, driving the Mazda 3 Turbo, and I have to tell you, the driving experience of this car has been very surprising to me. It's probably the thing that has impressed me the most about this car, for a couple reasons. Number one, it's quick. You step on it, it's very quick. I mean, 0 to 60 in 5.8, 5.9 seconds, not something to scoff at, and it is clearly quick. It feels fast on the road. It is a quick vehicle. Now, I miss having a manual transmission, there's no doubt about that, but I get the idea. Mazda wants to be more mature, more sort of developed as a brand, and manuals are becoming less and less desirable. They're costly to engineer for a very thin, increasingly thinning piece of the market, so I get it. But this car is fast even with its automatic. It certainly dulls the fun of the drive, but it doesn't dull the acceleration, the performance of this car. But it isn't just that. There's a few other things I like in this car. The steering and handling. Mazda 3 steering and handling is class leading, there's no doubt about that. This car now combines that steering and handling with the performance of the engine, and I gotta tell you, that's pretty nice. I mean, the standard in this segment has always sort of been like the GTI and cars like that. Well, here's a new competitor, and it's just sort of subtly come onto the market because it doesn't have the following as a name like GTI or Focus ST or Golf R or anything like that. But it's a pretty impressive vehicle that sort of deserves to rival some of those cars. And then you have another interesting benefit in here, which is the feel of driving this car. Like, it's a nice car. The ride is pretty compliant. It's not like a luxury car in that sense, but it's decent for an economy car. But more importantly, the materials are really nice in here. It feels nice sitting in here. It's relatively quiet in this car. It feels more luxurious, more upmarket, which is, I think, what Mazda is looking for. You combine all that, and you actually do have not only a pretty credible, like, performance-y, all-wheel drive hatchback kind of enthusiast car, but you have like a pretty nice car in general. And as far as compact hatchbacks go, I wish I liked how this looked better, because I would say unequivocally this is the one to get. It's just a good car all around. You have decent technology. I would prefer a touchscreen, but whatever. You got a lot of good features at least. You've practical. All-wheel drive is beneficial for snowy climates. You got the power. You got the interior quality. There's a lot to like in this car. There really, really is. And I liked the Mazda 3 before. And in fact, when I reviewed the sedan version with the less powerful engine, I said it was my favorite compact sedan. Well, now it's gotten even better, especially if you're looking for a little bit more performance and a little more potent power out of this car. And I like it. I think this is a great compact hatchback that combines a lot of great things that compact hatchback buyers would want. And dare I say, it's probably the best one of these on the market today. It just combines a lot of really good stuff in one package. It drives great. It is great. And so that's the new 2021 Mazda 3 Turbo hatchback. It's not quite as rowdy as the old school Mazda Speed 3, but that's kind of Mazda's point. They want it to be more grown up, more mature, more adult. Regardless, it's a pretty good all-around vehicle with all-wheel drive, good technology, good power, and a practical hatchback body style. And now it's time to give it a DOUGSCORE. And the DOUGSCORE is here against other relevant cars. The Mazda 3 Turbo beats out some compelling cars like the Turbo Kia Soul and the Mazda 3 sedan, but it can't touch the true hot hatchbacks like the Focus RS and the Golf R. Think of the Mazda 3 as a warm hatchback, a mature and grown-up worn hatchback compared to the old-school Mazda Speed 3.